Steven Thomas with Reports on Housing. Fix my shirt a little bit here. Happy Friday. It's hard to believe it's another week. I think the older I get, the faster my weeks go. So I am just seems to be flying through 2021. I don't know if you're feeling the same way, but I am certainly feeling like this year has absolutely flown by. So hard to believe we're already, 2 weeks away from, what's that? Thanksgiving. I'm looking at myself. It's like got blurry all of a sudden. Hello. It's the automatic zoom of my camera, and I guess it's a little sensitive there. Holy smokes. Anyways, just wanted to say hello to everybody. Give everybody a chance to get on really quick, and then we'll just dive right on in to our broadcast. But just hope everybody is ready for a fantastic. Why is that so fuzzy? Got to get a kid in here. Got to get one of my many kids here. So that will happen shortly. So anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and just dive right into this. Have a little bit smaller me in the background. So anyhow, let's talk about what's going on and what I'm seeing in the housing market and where are we at today. So without further ado, I'd like to thank our sponsor. And of course, that's Kevin Buddy with Monarch Coast Financial. He's been my sponsor for quite some time here at the Housing Debrief. Started last season and pretty much this whole entire season 2. And this is episode, number 32. So thank you, Kevin, for your continued support of this wonderful show. And Kevin Buddy has been definitely a big part of the program. He's been a big support, and he deals with more than one kind of borrower, of course. So there's got to be more than one kind of loan. Everything from full documentation loans, the normal stuff, to alternative documentation loans, to investor financing and private money loans. So pretty much everything he deals with, and loads and loads of experience. Kevin Buddy's been doing this since 1976. And he's my buddy, your buddy, Kevin Buddy at Monarch Coast Financial. He helped out my family. He can help out your family as well as your clients. And you can contact Kevin Buddy and let him help you as well at 949-422-2075. That's 949-422-2075. And our company's Reports on Housing. It's your local real estate snapshot. It's about delivering great information, real data, real statistics, nothing that's manipulated. We're going to call it like it really is and bring you exactly what's going on in the market and where we think things are going, because that's the whole idea of a housing report. It's properly setting expectations of everybody so that they can make proper decisions based upon what the economics are saying. And I'm the geek behind the wheel, and I have another geek that helps me behind the wheel who has a lot of economic background. And I have a quantitative economics and decision sciences major. That makes me a nerd, and I absolutely enjoy it. Some people like to golf. I like to just pound away at statistics, data, charts. I know when things are going to drop across the economy as far as when they're going to be dropping different reports when everything comes out. And I get excited every day, and I'm very disappointed if it takes longer than it usually does to get these different charts and data that are constantly coming out on a weekly basis and monthly basis. So I'm that geek. You guys can definitely lean into me. I'm a housing analyst. That's what I do. I look at the trends. I have an economic model that I follow for all of housing. And we have reports that dot all over Southern California. And the most recent one, this one came out for San Bernardino, Riverside this week. It came out last week for Orange County, Los Angeles, and San Diego. And that means this coming up week, there is a new report coming out with a new topic, new theme. I don't even know what it's gonna be yet. So that's just what I do. I just noodle around the soccer fields typically over the weekend and try to figure out what I'm going to talk about next. So the most recent one was called Housing Insanity. When will it end? And all has to do with rates. And we will go into that quite a bit as well today. Reportsonhousing.com, that is our website. You can go there, reportsonhousing.com, click on subscribe, and it's $15 per month or $150 per year. And it's insanely inexpensive because I want to get it out to as many people as I can so they can make the proper decisions, so that, you know what, they have the proper expectations of what how the housing market is going to perform. And they get a month free. You get a month free if you sign up utilizing the coupon code CRISIS, because that is what we're talking about here today, is crisis. And speaking of crisis, yes, first we got to talk about a couple funny things. Caution, do not use this photo as the lead photo in your MLS listing. The top windows are a bad omen. Let me drill that in for you. It just shows you my age level goes down. That's why my wife says she has a 10th kid. I am her 10th kid. Of course, I find that funny. And every single realtor, after hearing Zillow lost money trying to do real estate, relying on those estimates, it's like, oh my. So anyways, yes, we all had a little bit of a chuckle from that. Let's go ahead and start out with, of course, housing crisis to start 2022. Everybody's wondering, okay, Steven, what are you talking about, this housing crisis? Let me go into what I mean by this housing crisis. And really what it is it's not that we're all of a sudden going to crash. That's not what it is. Survey says, it's not going to be a housing bubble either. That's not what I'm talking about with the housing crisis. That's not what it is. If you were tuning in hoping that there'd be a crash or a bubble, I'm not one of those permanent bears. I look at the data and stats and I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. If I thought it was going to crash, I'd let you know, but that's not what's going to happen. And there's not going to be an asteroid that hits the globe. That would wreck housing. And there's not going to be a UFO invasion, even though we talked about UFOs earlier this year. That's not going to happen either. Instead, what I'm talking about is this. The housing inventory is shrinking down to a level that is just ridiculous. It's getting smaller and smaller. And speaking of smaller, somebody smaller than me just entered the room. Who do we have here? The first interruption of the day. Who's this?
Mason.
Aren't you glad it's Friday? Yeah. We dealt with our first colds, huh? We had colds that went around. It was like dumb because we were used to being all masked up and everybody washing hands and using all the different sanitizers. But for some reason, we got a cold. And I think it all has to do with our little brother, Zeke, who likes to stick things in his mouth. Yes. Anything exciting you're doing this weekend?
Soccer.
All right. I think we're going to a Christmas boutique on Sunday also. That should be fun. Yes.
Yeah.
That should be fun. Right on, Mason. Pound it out. Boom. There's the first kid to come into the housing debrief and interrupt us. That's what we're all about. So, you know what? So there's really going to be an inventory issue. So I'm looking at supply and demand. People like to compare the markets to prior to the Great Recession and at the start of the Great Recession. And that's where we had a supply glut, the exact opposite of what we're talking about here. And some people are talking about, like Boise, Idaho, how many homes they have, more than double where they were last year. I'm telling you, look at where Boise was prior to the pandemic for the 3-year average prior, and it's still less. So, and they're one of the markets where they have a lot more homes in the market compared to last year. So all these different permanent bear people that have these YouTube video blogs, and they're constantly talking about how the end of the world is coming, is not happening in anything that I see. And that's what I do for a living. I'm a housing analyst. I'm not the investor like so many of these people that have these YouTube blogs that everybody's referring to out there. So I'm looking at supply and demand, and supply looks like it's very limited, right? The supply is looking like the desert. It's very, very limited, which is why this scale is tipping, like demand is way down here and there's very little supply. Demand has been juiced by these extra low interest rates. But let's first talk about the inventory, the supply side of this equation. And the supply side of this equation, I'm going to show you, this was 2013. 2013 was one of those years where the inventory was so low. I was hoping, oh my gosh, I hope we never see this again, because it was very, very hard to navigate in the market that was 2013. Just as it's hard to navigate in today's market. Is pretty bad in 2013, not like it is today, but this is where the inventory was in 2013. And then that was January of 2013. This is January of 2014, like the January 1st of 2014. You could see more homes, and that was because interest rates actually went from 3.25% up to 4.5%, and it really added a lot of inventory because of the change in interest rates. And then in 2015, slightly more inventory to start the year. 2016, a little less. 2017, a little less. 2018, a little less. So you can see from 2015, after that, it started to get less and less and less each year. And 2018 was the year where we went from 4% interest rates all the way up to 5% interest rates by November, and boom. We started off, and you could see how high it got, and then it fell like a rock because interest rates started dropping pretty quick at the end of 2018 after they hit 5% in November, and then they kept on dropping at the start of the year. So we started off 2019, though, with a lot more homes, the most homes that we had seen since we started the expansion. Back in 2012, there were more homes to start off the year, but that was a year where it just slid the whole entire year, every single week. There was fewer homes on the market, and that's the way 2012 occurred when we first got out of the doldrums of the Great Recession. And you can see 2019, lot of homes, but then what happened in 2020? Interest rates fell. They were averaging between, right around 3.75%. They got to 3.5% in the fall of 2019. And as a result, we had a very, very hot second half of 2019. And then it set up a very, very low 2020, very similar to the start to 2018. And then we had the start of 2021. This is where we started. And this is where we're most likely going to start 2022. If I draw a line across, it's going to be less than the number of homes that we started off this year with. There's going to be fewer homes to start off 2022. And this year, to start it off, everybody thought this market was insane from day one. January 1st of 2022 is going to be even more insane. So I'm blowing this up for you. So I just took this and I'm blowing it up for you. And I'm going to show you again. This is 2019. There were 40,700 homes in the market. And if you look at that, I'll go backwards. 2019, you can see 40,000 homes in the market. That was a lot of homes. And that was the start of the year. It goes up typically from there, because right now we should be about 40,000 homes in the market. That would be the 3-year average from 2017 through 2019 prior to the pandemic. But 40,000 is where we started 2019. And that's 40,700. In 2020, we had 29,100, so a big drop. And like I said, very, very similar to 2018, which was right at 28,700. And then this is where COVID-19 hit. So COVID-19 hit, and then everybody was talking about how the market was going to implode. And I'm looking at the numbers going, uh-oh, that's not what's going to happen. Instead, we watched the inventory dropped like a rock because nobody placed their homes on the market when everybody locked down. They thought that demand would cease, that the market would go to, it would just deteriorate really rapidly because demand would drop. Well, demand did drop, but so did the inventory at the same time. As a matter of fact, that month that we first went into to COVID, that month of April, because we went in the second half of March, the month of April, we actually placed 50%, half of the number of homes that we did prior to the pandemic. So for that time of the year. So it just shows you that we were not placing anything on the market. So the inventory just dropped. And then interest rates were dropping. So it fueled a lot of demand and the inventory just kept on dropping from there. So if we didn't have COVID-19, we wouldn't have had such low inventory. COVID-19 made it worse. Remember, the start of 2020 was very similar to the start of 2018, which was very low. It was 2013 was the lowest, but 2018 and 2020 were right neck and neck, and they were pretty low as well. So then we started off because of COVID-19 and going so far down in the inventory. The peak of the inventory typically happens in the summer, but the peak of the inventory of that year, of course, you could see it happened right here. It was like right around the start of April. And then it set up 2021 at 17,800 homes. So we went from 40,000, over 40,000 in 2019 to under 30,000 in 2020 to under 20,000 in 2021. And that was the start of this year. So where do I think 2022 is going to start off with? About 13,500 homes. It'll be somewhere like right around here. And I'm just doing this based upon looking at all my stats and drawing a lot of lines and seeing where it's all going to match up. 13,500 is about where we're going to start off, which is unbelievable, like an empty gas tank. I thought the start of this year that we would never see it get any lower than the start of this year. And here we are, we're going even lower. So the inventory crisis is going to continue. It's going to start off 2022, and it will be the lowest start that I have seen since I've been tracking. So unreal. And there really is a supply crisis. That is the crisis in housing. It is the number of homes coming on the market. And I didn't even go over the number of homes coming on the market, but it is way down. I just don't have that kind of time to drill it down. But there are fewer homeowners coming on the market compared to what the 3-year average was prior to the pandemic. We did it 2020, and we almost equaled it in 2021, the same number of homes not coming on the market. So overall, from 2020 to 2021, there's this big pool of homeowners that just never came to the market, and that added to the crisis. So yeah, it is a real issue. But you know what? You want to see something positive? I have my second interruption over here. Who's this?
It's Athena Thomas.
It's Athena Thomas.
Well, Athena Rose Thomas.
Oh, I'm only streaming on Reports on Housing? That's too bad. It's so we're only streaming on my producer director, my wife, told me that we're only streaming on Reports on Housing. Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. We've got all the technology, and sometimes the technology doesn't work. So there you go. So it's not. How about YouTube? Is it streaming on YouTube? Maybe it's streaming on YouTube. Anyways, this is Athena Rose.
Hi.
How are we doing?
Good.
What are we doing this weekend?
I don't have any soccer.
We have a bye.
And
So we're just gonna have fun.
yeah.
You have a birthday party tomorrow night.
For Nicole.
For Nicole.
All right.
Yeah, we have a birthday party over, celebrating a birthday. Come on, that's fun, right?
Hi.
And, all right. Thank you for joining us. Interruption number 2. Oh, I've got a little interruption. Come here. Who's this? Who's this? Talk to the camera. Who are you?
Ziki.
Zeke. Where did you just come from? Where'd you come from? Where were you just at?
I don't also.
At school. Do you like school?
Yeah.
What's your favorite part of school?
I like going nap.
Do you like going nap? I like going nap too. I don't get to do it as often, but boy, when I go nap, I go nap. That's good. I'm glad that you like nap. Are you doing anything fun this weekend?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
So soft.
Yeah, it's so soft, my microphone. What are you going to do this weekend? Watch soccer.
Not soccer.
All right. Thank you for joining us. Interruption number 4. Come here.
4.
Yeah, well, Mason started it.
Yeah.
Who's this?
Alana.
Oh, Alana. How are you doing?
Good.
On the soccer field, she's known as AJ, because that's what we do, Alana Joe. AJ on the soccer field. She has some skills. So when you have skills, might as well go with a nickname.
Yeah.
Right? So anything fun, exciting that we're doing this weekend?
Yes, I am actually working today at my grandpa's pizza place.
Oh, what's the name of that pizza place?
Ballpark Pizza Team.
Where is it located?
Mission Viejo.
Off of Los Lisos into 241.
Commercial. And then I'm spending the night at my Nana's house, and then I have soccer in the morning.
Like
and then,
first thing in the morning.
Yeah, like 8 a.m., and then we're going to go get our nails done.
That's cool. Yeah, it sounds like a fun plan. And then you're going to go to a party. So right on, rock it on. All right. So Mia's not here yet because she is practicing. She's a cross-country runner. She's going to Mount Sac. She has the CIF runs this weekend. So Mount Sac, I think we have to be there like crack of dawn. I think we got to arrive there like 7:30 or something ridiculous like that, which means we're getting up very early for a Saturday. Anyhow, thank you for joining us. All my little interruptions, but let's go back to the supply crisis and let's talk about the other side of this thing, and that's interest rates. So, supply crisis, I want to see more homes come on the market compared to the average prior to the pandemic. So, we're going to have to continue to watch that. So, we'll just see how that all pans out. So, interest rates have been just absolutely, they've been the real fuel to this demand. And this came out on Thursday. Like I said, I know when they dropped 2.98%. I knew when I saw this that it was too late. They'd already done all their surveys, and this is as of November 10th, which is, of course, this is weekly average rates. That was right at when we were having some issues with interest rates. I'll get into that, but it says 2.98% on the right-hand side, and you can see people are going. They were a little concerned about, whoa, interest rates were going up, and then they were jazzed that they came back down. And what was that? They went all the way to 3.14%, and the highest for the year was 3.18%. You can see it a little bit to the left, right over here. That was where we had 3.18%. We were going that direction. I was. There we are, 2.98%. Let's see, you can see where we're at. So, but I want to put it in perspective, all this up and down and everybody worrying about what's going on. COVID-19 hit right over here in March. And after that, we hit 17 record lows. And this was the beginning of this year, the first week of this year, we hit 2.65%, an all-time low. And I want you to know that if COVID-19 ever happened, that 2.98%, 3.14%, 3.18%, the highest rates of this year would all be record low rates if COVID-19 did not happen. So be careful what you get used to, because everybody's starting to get used to these rates, which is going to make going up higher down the road. If we do get there, it will make it more of an issue. But I'm going back a little bit to tell you kind of what's happened this year. So this year, we started off this year very low. We went up until we got to March. We got to that 3.18%, and then it came down, got all the way down to about 2.77%, and then it went back up again. And I'm rooting for higher rates because that's the only thing that's going to add to the inventory, because it would slow demand and it would allow more homeowners to stay in the market a little bit longer, would add to the inventory, would encourage other homeowners to place their homes in the market because there is more inventory. And when you have more inventory, demand softens, you get longer market times and the market slows. That is what I'm rooting for. But you saw what happened was even after talking about tapering last week, they said they're going to be doing $5 billion less of mortgage-backed securities. This is the Federal Reserve. They did that. It was digested. Actually, interest rates went down. And then we had a print on, one of the inflation, the CPI hit this week, and it was higher than expectations. So as a result, the mortgage rates climbed. And they don't even have this yet, but right now they're at 3 1/8%. So there you go. We're right back to that 3 1/8%. So it's like going up and down, up and down. And there seems to be, I was like jazzed that they were going up, and then I was disappointed that they were going down, and then I was jazzed that they're going up again. And there's just a lot of volatility, and understand that what happened so far this year, you follow the 10-year treasury. This will tell you exactly what's happening in interest rates. And I'm rooting for the green lines, the green bars where it's going up. So we have higher rates because it's the only thing that's really going to slow this thing down. Either we have higher interest rates or values climb to a point where buyers start backing away. That hasn't happened yet. And in all of my different calculations of affordability, it's not there yet. It's not to my red zone where I've got flashing red zone unaffordable housing. Even though we have higher rates, we've got higher values in houses. We have very, very low rates, and we have higher incomes compared to prior to the Great Recession, which is what everyone wants compared to. Values are way different, and the cumulative inflation from prior to the Great Recession is great. So you can't compare values today to where they were before. Instead, you got to see where affordability is at. But here's where we had interest rates rise at the beginning of the year from 2.65% all the way up to 3.14%. I was jazzed. And then it went down the other direction. So this is the same thing. See, the 10-year treasury mirrors the 30-year mortgage because the appetite of investors for 30-year mortgages is the same as 10-year treasuries. So when you follow these 10-year treasuries, check this out. Kind of does the same thing. and then it went down towards 2.77% interest rates. This is what we had in the 10-year Treasury. We were right around 1.25, and then it was going up again. I was stoked, going up, and then it went down. And more recently, you could see it in this chart, but you can't see it in the other chart from Freddie Mac, and the primary mortgage market survey. And that's because it doesn't take into consideration the last few days. In the last few days, we had that CPI drop, the inflation index, and boom, we had a rise in the 10-year Treasury again, which we also had a rise in interest rates. So, man, there's a lot of volatility going on. And that's what I expect. There wasn't a lot of volatility within this last year. And the same thing goes with the stock market. Not a lot of volatility. We're finally to a patch where there's a little bit more volatility in the 10-year Treasury and in stocks. So stocks and bonds both are having a little more volatility. So that's why you're seeing the seesaw all over the place. But it's still staying within ranges and everything that we as economists track. And we don't get too worried. Unlike Wall Street, they flip out when there's certain things that drop, but we're looking at over time and we're seeing where things go and looking at proper trends. And I still think that interest rates are going to stay tight within a range of 2.75 to 3.5%. They're going to have a real hard time getting above 3.5%. So let's see. So know that when it's at 2.75%, it's an insane seller's market. When it's at 3.5%, it is a seller's market. And Linda, if you're having a problem and it's choppy, you can get off of it and then get back in. Typically, that fixes itself. So I'm looking at supply and demand, continuing to look at it, and we definitely see that we have a lot of demand going forward, and we have this supply crisis going forward, at least to start off 2022. So it's what that means, and looking at that is we're going to have a red hot start this year that will be hotter than the start to 2021, which was hotter to the start to 2013. So 2022 is going to be hotter in SoCal. Not all markets across Southern California. I think the only one that won't be as hot as it was on January 1st is, I believe it'll be San Bernardino, but it's going to be pretty close. So, but no, by and large, we're going to see a hotter start to the year for all of SoCal. And that means it's going to be an insane year to start the year. So, yes, very frustrating at everything. Uh-oh. We are getting a little choppy all of a sudden. There we go. I don't know what that is. And home values are going to continue to skyrocket. And at the end of the day, I'm going to look at all the data, and I will continue to bring you all the data. Let's see if I shut down something real quick. Close all windows. I'm going to close some of these extra windows that I have open, and maybe that is part of the issue. I don't know. I'm just here to help out in any way that I can. So there we go. So bear with me for a second. I'm trying to fix this bad boy really quick. All right. All right, so there we are. So let's talk about the Southern California supply. And today we're at 17,770. And that's down 4% in the last 2 weeks, which is 669 homes down. Last year, we were at 24,885. That is 40% higher than where we are this year. And last year was an all-time low. So you can see right now we're at an even lower all-time low. And this is as far as the inventory is concerned. And the 3-year average is 40,110, which means we should have more than double the number of homes that we have right now. And where are we going to go from here? It's going to plunge. And Los Angeles is at 7,537, went down 3% in a 2-week period of time. And Orange County is at 1,793, down 4%. And Riverside is at 3,328, down 4%. San Bernardino's down 20 to 2869, down 3%, and San Diego's at 2243, down 5%. I do want to point out Orange County. Orange County is at an all-time low at 1,793. So every single week, this is getting lower and lower, and it's already an all-time low. And my stats go even back further on Orange County. And I thought that in 2013, that 3,150 homes on the market for Orange County was awful. We're at right now below 1,800 homes. It's actually going to drive below 1,500 homes to start off the year, which is just absolutely ridiculous. And as far as SoCal demand is concerned, I keep drive this thing home, but Southern California demand, this is a snapshot of the last 30 days worth of escrows. Today we're at 17,301. That's down 1% or down 255 pending sales. So not as big of a drop on demand side of things. Compared to the inventory. Last year, we were at 19,077. That's 10% higher than where we are today. That's 1,776 more pending sales. But last year, there was more. And compared to last year, there was more. And this time of the year, because we had a 4-month delay in our spring market, you could see the green line. We had no spring because of the start of COVID and lockdowns. And the 3-year average is 14,176. That's down 18% compared to where we are today. So demand is elevated, even though we're placing fewer homes in the market, and the inventory is so far less. We're just placing everything that we possibly can into escrow. And where's it going to go from here? It is going to plunge. So inventory and demand are going to plunge. And then we're going to start off the year, and demand will increase from day one of next year. So how fast is this market moving? Today we're at 31 days. It's down 1 day in the last 2 weeks. So it actually got hotter because, the lower the expected market time, that's when if you place your home in the market, when are you going to open up escrow? So the lower the expected market time, the hotter the market. And last year we were at 39 days at this time. The 3-year average is 86 days. So a lot slower than where we are today. Still a slight seller's market, but not nearly the insane market that we're dealing with right now. And you can see that hot seller's market versus the equilibrium, which is a balanced market up at the top between 90 and 120 days. And then it goes into buyers from 120 to 150, and then the deep buyers above 150. And like during the Great Recession, we got to an expected market time of over 200 days, which is like moving 2 miles per hour. So of course, the lower the number, the faster you're going. And where we're at today is just extremely fast. And just to give you an idea, this is where between the blue and the black line is actually a slight seller's market. That's where we behaved in 2019. Not a lot of appreciation. Sellers still got to call the shots, but they had to finagle a little bit, do a little bit more negotiating. And below that blue line is a hot seller's market. The further below you get, the hotter you get. And you can see where we're at right now. Below 40 is insane, and we've been below 40 the entire year. And where are we going to go for the rest of the year? It's going to maintain where it's at right now. It's not getting any better for the rest of the year. LA is at a 37-day expected market time, went down 1 day in the last 2 weeks. Orange County's at 23 days, flat at 23 days. It's insane at 23. Riverside's at 29 days, went down 2 days in the last 2 weeks. San Bernardino's at 34 days, up 1 in the last 2 weeks. And San Diego's at 23 days, down 1 in the last 2 weeks. So Orange County and San Diego are your two that are the most insane. And where are we going to go from here? You can see on the left-hand side, I'm trying to show you that we're going to start off the year. It's still going to be insanely hot from day one of 2022. And there's the seasonality. We're dealing with seasons right now because you're wondering, Steven, why are you saying that the inventory and demand is going to drop and plunge? Well, I've talked about it before. We're right now in the autumn market. That's where inventory and demand slowly drop. That's why we didn't get a big drop in demand right now. And we got a little bit bigger of inventory, but it vacillates between the two. And they kind of go down at the same speed. But then we're running out of runway. I kept on putting fingers. 3 weeks left, 2 weeks left. We have 1 week left. Next week is the week prior to Thanksgiving, and that's when everything shuts down. By about the end of next week, you're going to start to see that people are already leaving. They're planning their Thanksgiving week. And so the runway for the autumn market is coming to an end. So that brings us to the holidays. Inventory and demand plunge. And that's what I showed you. Inventory and demand. And you're going, why, Stephen? Well, I'll tell you in a second. But inventory is, and then we get to the winter market. And this is where inventory is flat, demand soars. So this is where a whole bunch of people say, hey, all the agents go, you should come on the market. It's like Super Bowl. This is the best time to come on the market. It is extremely hot right after Super Bowl, but that's not when people like to come on the market. When do they like to come on the market? Well, if you ask the family, they don't want to move in February because it's still the dead of winter. So it's not yet, we're not at spring. Spring doesn't start till March, the end of March. So that's the spring market. So families don't like to move because their kids are in school. They like to move at the end of spring so that they close, or actually in summer, they place their homes on the market in spring. The number one month that homeowners place their homes on the market is May. And the lowest number of homes coming on the market is December. The second lowest, November. Third lowest, January. You can see it starts to speed up in January, better than November and December. And then February, it speeds up a little bit more. You get to March, you get some juice. Then you get to April, May, and June. That's your primary months. And so people don't want to move right around Super Bowl, even though we try to encourage them to move because the market's so hot. They don't want to do it. That's not when families do it. They want to wait till spring. And like I told you, spring is the end of March. So if you want a copy of this thing, sorry for the choppiness. I apologize. I should have had all my windows shut down. So apologize for that. But hey, you know what? We live and die by technology, and here we are. So anyways, if you want to copy this, you have to be a subscriber to my housing report. I'll be more than happy to send this to you, but you have to be a subscriber to my housing report. You go to reportsonhousing.com, click on subscribe, and you too can have it. $15 per month or $150 per year. Get a month free. You sign up utilizing the coupon code CRISIS. And I'd like to thank Kevin Buddy, my buddy, your buddy, Kevin Buddy at Monarch Coast Financial. He, of course, deals with all kinds of loans, from full doc loans to private money loans, and has loads and loads of experience. Has been doing this for years. He's a good pal of mine, and he helped my family out. And he can help you and your clients out. Contact him at Monarch Coast Financial, 949-422-2075. Kevin Buddy, 949-422-2075. And that's all I have, but I do have time. I think there's a couple of questions that I saw in there, other than not sure why it keeps going in and out. Sorry, Linda. But here's the Andrea said, why San Bernardino slowing more than OC? Well, they were busier, but the inventory actually rose quite a bit and demand fell a little bit. I can't put my finger on why it happened in San Bernardino, but it did. And San Bernardino was at one of the hottest levels. They were in the teens for a little while there. So was Riverside. So was San Diego. And then they slowed down. But then they recently, everybody's improved a little bit. Orange County has improved a lot. San Diego has improved a lot. Orange County has been neck and neck with San Diego as to who's the hottest right now. And it kind of vacillates between counties for whatever reason. So you can't really put your finger on what's going on. But here's the thing. San Bernardino, Riverside County, all of the Inland Empire, they're pretty darned hot almost as the rest of along the coast. LA is slower than San Bernardino and Riverside. San Bernardino and Riverside aren't quite as hot as Orange County and San Diego, but they were earlier in this year. It's going to change hands, who has that baton on who's the hottest. So that will change over time. So let's see. And then I like this. Days on market. Is it based on number of days from active to under contract or pending or actual close? So it's not days on market, by the way. It's expected market time. I take supply and demand and come up with the expected market time. And that is how long will it take to exhaust the current inventory based upon the current demand, the number of new escrows. So I only take a snapshot of escrows, not all escrows, just a snapshot. So it kind of gives me a velocity of what's going on right now. And from that, I can do the expected market time. And that market time is statistic. It's not days on market, because days on market is skewed all over the place. Not a good stat. Instead, it's when do you place your home on the market, pound in that for sale sign, when are you opening up escrow? that's what that's what everybody cares about, because escrow times are different times. But when are you going to hit pay dirt success? You can negotiate your own closing, and some people want to negotiate longer and for whatever their reasons are. So you can't take that in consideration. It's really is when are you going to go into escrow? It's really what everybody wants to know. So that's my definition, and I see that some people want copies. I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. Once again, sorry for this choppiness, but hey, we'll get it fixed up next week. Next week is my last Facebook Live, and then in the month of December, we will do towards the end of December, we will do our forecast live for 2022. So hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. Enjoy it. I certainly will, and we will see